Well, I got a copy of the 1914 Volume 2, the, where it was voted in. They voted the WCB Act in. And in one part of it, the principles of compulsory insurance legislation. We therefore recommend the introduction of a system of compulsory state insurance against industrial accidents based upon the following principles. Compensation should be certain and prompt. Yeah, right. And should be in lieu of all rights of action which the workman may have against his employer. Yeah, and they love that one. Who should be free from all liability from apart from his liability to contribute to his assessment. One of the greatest advantages of estate insurance is the fact that it eliminates the question of the continued solvency of the employer. At sitting your commissioners held at Merritt, a very practical instance of the uncertainty attending the existing system of procuring compensation was given in the evidence of two widows whose husbands had been killed in a mining disaster. The mining company did not contest their claim, as in law there was no defense, but although they had children dependent upon them for support owing to the company being in financial difficulties, they had not received any pecuniary payment, but had to be content to receive a few articles of wear and household goods from the company's store. The foregoing instance is uncommon among large employers of labor, as it is generally the smaller employer who carries no insurance and whose solvency is uncertain. The assumption of the obligation by the state to pay compensation by the imposition of a tax upon each industry throws the loss upon the class instead of upon the individual. The loss is spread over a wide area, and each employer is supported by all other employers of the same class. In other words, that part of the industry, like in my case, the whole of the drywall industry would pay for my broken arm. Compensation should be payable to workmen engaged in hazardous employment, and the compensation board should have jurisdiction to add from time to time any industry which, in their opinion, should be included as a hazardous employment, though the purview of any system of state insurance must, in its initial stages, be limited to what are generally recognized and classed as dangerous employments. Yet it is believed that when employers in other industries realize that such a system of insurance is one that really insures instead of, as at this present time, having insurance which does not always protect them, they will voluntarily apply to be admitted to the advantages of such a system, even though the assessment rate would be higher than that of private companies. What that means is there is a system in place. This is 1914. There is a system in place, but it's not adequate and it's not working. And this one will. Not really. It works for the employer, but it doesn't work for the employee. This little document was written in 1914 while a war was taking place, and it was snuck through Parliament while everybody else's mind was somewhere else. Otherwise, they would have questioned certain things. It sounds good, but it doesn't apply because these people rewrote it, and now it's the perfect insurance company. And a perfect insurance company is a company that gets paid the dues, but it doesn't pay out the awards. In other words, you don't get paid compensation. They just take it, rake in the dues, and they get richer. The employer is protected because he can't be sued, yada, 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 and that's the way it goes. They haven't lived up to the agreement. Therefore, they've nullified the handshake, and it's my belief that compensation shouldn't exist. And we should be heading for the Supreme Court to have it nullified. If they're not willing to live up to it and pay it, then then what do we have this in writing for? And of course, they're not going to go without a fight. But a very wise man once said, Benjamin Franklin later stated in his book, "Freedom and democracy must be renewed from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots." Fair to say he was a man in the know, and that's true. Because if you don't fight for the rights that you got, they won't exist. Because these fascists, that's what they did. They come in. The White Report. That's where this all come from. Was the White Report. Gordon Campbell put it in. A clown by the name of David Winter wrote it. He should be proud of himself, because he sure wrote a fascist stuff. Hey, him and Hitler, they might be related, because that's the kind of document Hitler would put in place. Because it sure doesn't have anything to do with democracy. It takes away all my rights. Takes away all the rights of the other workers. Gives them all to the employer. In other words, the guy in command. Now, one would think that an organization like the BC Civil Liberties Association would challenge this act, Administrative Tribunals Act, under Section 52 of the Constitution Act 1982, or at least speak out against it. But it seems they're every bit as useless as all the rest of them. Unless you've got green hair or you're homosexual or something like that, or a minority. You know, they're not interested in something like this. Not that there's anything wrong with minorities or homosexuals. They have every bit of many rights as I do. Actually, they got more. Excuse me, they have more rights than I do, because I don't have any rights as an injured worker. The Council of Canadians with Disabilities and Community Legal Assistance, they're worse than useless. I went to Jim Sayre and Kevin Love. Hell yeah. They wanted to get a look at my evidence and they kicked me to the door. I spoke badly to Kevin Love. I spoke harshly to him. Oh, poor little boy. Useless tit. Understand that one? Because they all got orders from Sinclair, the Federation of Labor, and I hear he's in bed with Gordon Campbell. No strikes until after the Olympics. They made a deal, apparently. I don't know what did they got for this deal. Who knows? How does it make you feel, Sinclair? Well, I had you pegged right from the word go anyway, so it doesn't matter. My little speech to you in that video was just a decent man's way of trying to get some help, but you weren't interested, and I knew that. But I had to try, because if you don't try, it's too bad. But every avenue to us was closed. Even the human rights. They weren't interested in any of this. They're only interested if it applies to minorities, or if you're gay or something like that. And I'm not talking disparagingly about them. I mean, they have their rights like everybody else, but so do we. You know, as injured workers, we have rights, but just not under this government or this act. But the fight continues. And the more I get into it, the bigger headache I get. But we shall see. I haven't heard from Daryl Powell or John, so I don't know what they're up to. We'll see what goes on from here. Be another video soon.